of a winter getaway? Head over to our contest page and enter for your chance to win a trip for two to Ballard's Resort, including lodging for 2 days of angling and meals, all thanks to Mom's Landscaping and Design. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. It's been a fast-paced, action-packed, controversial Common Man program. Several ways to contact us here at the Fan. 1-800-320-5326 is our phone number. Don't bother. We don't answer. I rarely check emails anymore either. That's sort of gone the way of carrier pigeons, smoke signals, rotary dial telephones, Pony Express, right? Then we have KFAN Talkback, which is pretty cool. iHeartRadio app, find the Fan, microphone icon, corner of the screen, tap it 30 seconds or less to give us an audio message. And then there's the Brad, Sean, Bryant, KFAN text line. By the way, I'm reading that KFAN, I'm about to read this text message on the KFAN text line while residing in the 651 Carpets Plus studios, home of the next day install. This text message says, building upon the Nance Romo observation I had yesterday, it says, Nance and Romo are unlistenable when it comes to Buffalo, Kansas City. They try way too hard to idolize and pedestalize not just Mahomes and Allen as players, but the rivalry itself. The NFL's desperate to make it the next Brady-Manning rivalry, and Jim and Tony are falling right in line. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. But I think most people that watch football are really into it and already know that. They don't need to be told by Tony. It's almost like, okay, now you rubes out there that don't understand football, drinking your beer, doing your fantasy football, you don't understand the rivalry between Buffalo and Kansas City. You don't know what they've done over the last, since Allen and Mahomes have been the quarterbacks, what has happened between these two teams over the past 3, 4, 5 years. You're not smart enough to know. You don't pay close enough attention, so let us explain it to you. It's like, well, no, we all know. Everybody that was into football realizes it is two teams that have met on a number of occasions in the regular season and postseason, and really, it's been the big game goes through one of those two towns, and it's Kansas City that's come out on top. They've won not one, not two, but 3 big games under Mahomes in back-to-back. Buffalo's been close. They had the opportunity, and was it 2 years ago with that great game where Kansas City scored with 13 seconds to go in the ball game? So we all know we don't need to be told by Tony and Jim, but it's part of their job. I understand that, but but I don't think they need to build up that storyline. I think we all kind of understand.
Well, they're idolizers and pedestalizers by nature.
Well, that's it. Yeah, especially.
I do have some talkbacks, by the way.
Okay, especially when the play-by-play guy goes, we're blessed to have this game again. I wanted to throw up, but anyway, we have some
think we're blessed to have Vikings Bears on these airwaves on Sunday.
I think we are as well. Go ahead.
Here's some talkbacks from earlier in the program.
Okay.
And I don't know why you're so down on this team. I mean, I've listened to you for 15 years, and you've always said defense wins championships. You take away that third and long blitz that turned into a lucky 97-yard pass, this game's another blowout. Now, granted, you can't take that away, but play the Titans 10 times, and Will Levis will not throw a 97-yard touchdown pass.
Okay. You take away Kafka's 68, 78, 88, 98-yard touchdown runs, and that Northwestern club, the Gophers could have beat them that day.
I don't get how that pass was lucky.
No, it wasn't.
Like, to me, lucky is, there's a fumble and
he read the blitz. He knew it was coming. The Vikings didn't disguise it.
Made a great pass.
He threw a perfect pass. He threw what the kids would call a dime. And who got beat on the play?
That was Metellus. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, and he got beat on the play.
He started backpedaling there for a second.
He got beat on the play, and it wasn't luck. And he's right. I mean, for instance, last week, I was nervous going into that Lions versus Jaguars game because that defense was solid against Minnesota. I mean, we got 4 field goals. So I was thinking, I don't know if the Bates kid's up to kicking 4 field goals, but they kind of took it out of the kicker's hands. In Detroit, they just decided to score tutties. They didn't seem to have as much trouble moving the football against Jacksonville as the Vikings did. I was disappointed, Tenneby, that the Lions would score 7 touchdowns on their first 7 possessions, and then what do they do on the 8th? They have to settle for a field goal. That's disturbing. I'm not calling for wholesale changes in Detroit, top to bottom, but I think they have to take a long, hard look at themselves as they go into their next game against the Colts. And that's on the road. And the Colts aren't a bad team. They've got the Richardson kids back at quarterback.
I don't know why they ever made the change.
Yeah.
He played well yesterday.
Yeah, well, maybe it was they just wanted him to take a long, hard look at themselves. And maybe they also thought, here would be my, and I don't know if this was talked about in the Indianapolis media or not prior to the game, but this would just be a hunch on my part, the esoteric approach, is what did Brock Purdy say to B-Flow after their game this year? Your defense, your scheme
crazy
is
or something
crazy.
like that?
And I think they said Richardson's been struggling a little bit. He's got 0 chance against B-Flow's defense. This kid's not going to know what hit him. So let's put the savvy veteran who's won a big game and he's seen it all. That would be my guess is why they did.
But then they went back to him the next week,
right? Well, because they weren't facing B-Flow the next week.
No, I mean they had Flacco start again the following week.
Oh, they did.
It wasn't like a one game.
Oh, they did.
Flacco played 2.
Oh, I thought he just played the 1. Anyway, I think that was, but was the first one he got benched going into the Vikings game?
So Flacco played against Buffalo last week.
Okay, but so the first change
Vikings
they made was before the see. That's why they did it. That's what I'm convinced of. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I would think why they did it was. And then maybe the same thing with Buffalo. As good as Buffalo is, they just thought Richardson's he's got no chance. Who did the Colts play this week?
They played the Jets.
Yeah. That's a good team to play him against. That's a terrible team and I just love that the Jets lost again. So delicious.
There's a late score by Richardson.
Yeah. Here's I'm blessed for Tenneby. The master control was exceptional on Sunday. By the way, I'm still waiting to hear how Tenneby got his nickname. I was told to tune into the Grum today to find out.
That's what you said in the liner.
Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
I always
forgot
loved
about
that
that.
Tampa Bay.
Yo, what up, Tennessee?
That's how it happened. And PA looked at you and said, Cheddar B. And
said,
then,
yo, what up, Tennessee?
And then it was, yo, what up, Tennessee, and the rest is history. I like what I've seen with the Vikings. I do. I like winning games. You know, to go back to the message about he doesn't understand why I'm down on the team. Defense wins championships. I'm not down on the team. Who said I was? I'm critically analyzing what I see on the field, and offensively, you still have to score points, right? And all I know is what I was told at the beginning of the season. You put any quarterback on this team, it's the best place for a young quarterback to be because look at all the weapons we've got. We got bookend tackle, and I know Darasaw's out, but we have bookend tackles. Aaron Jones as our running back. Hawkinson will be back. We've got Addison, Speedy.
Hawkinson didn't play a whole lot yesterday.
No, we've got Hawkinson will be back. We got Addison. We got Jets. And we're just offensively, our running game is non-existent right now. At least it was yesterday. And you still have a quarterback that was forcing the ball. I praised him at the beginning. He'd listened to my advice or listened to the coach or whoever told him, don't force it in to Jets. You don't have to do that. You have other weapons out there. If the other team is going to take him away, that's the way it goes. And Jets was part of the problem by going, I tell these guys, even if I'm doubled, Get the ball to me. I'll find a way to. And many times he does. He's spectacular. We all know it. He's awe-inspiring at times, but you still got to. And then we read the quote from before this past Sunday's game, earlier in the week, when Jets himself said, can't force it. Got to take what the defense gives you, and that's what they did. Let's pause, and we'll come back. We got more to get to here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Stick around following every noon Vikings game this season for Vikings Overtime, hosted by Meat Sauce, presented by Park Chrysler Jeep in Burnsville. Catch them all right here on KFAN and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Comedy's 10 to B. Text messages coming in, people doing their very best to try to get the Common Man going, but I never lose. This one says, did the Lions quarterback throw 5 interceptions again? And I said, apparently not. He threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and had a perfect quarterback rating. No interceptions. Who had a better day, Tenneby, of all the quarterbacks in the National Football League yesterday? Nobody had a better day than Jared Goff. Nobody. He's only the only quarterback in the history of the National Football. Think about this. Think of how long the history of the National Football League goes to, way back to the early 1900s. He's the only quarterback in National Football League history to have 2 games in which he threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and had a perfect quarterback rating. I'd take that pretty much every week. Now, it's not going to happen every week, but I'd take that.
Heck of a response from last week, too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's the response from last week. Just like it was a great response from Darnold.
Yes.
From forcing too many picks. He was really good yesterday, I thought. Now, was he spectacular? Did he throw for over 400 yards, 4 tutties, and have a perfect quarterback rating? No. But he was really good yesterday. And he made the throws he had to make. He moved around the pocket a lot because, he was sacked. He was only sacked a couple of times, and I think I saw the stats were four hits. So he was relatively clean, but he had to move around in the pocket. He didn't
have a lot of clean pockets.
No, right. He was throwing a lot on the run, and he was executing. The kid's got talent. He's
and he also he threw an absolute dime to Jalen Naylor on that deep pass that should have been a touchdown, and Jalen Naylor can't come up with that.
That's it. That's that should have been a tutty, and so since PA gave Tenneby the name that brought him local fame, I think that gives PA the right to tickle Tenneby's sides whenever he feels like it.
Nope.
Remember when he used to do that? No! And you told him you'd punch him in the face. And he stopped.
He stopped, to his credit.
He did stop. I was talking to JG during one of the breaks. He was over in the production room over there. And I was asking him about, his children. How old are they now? It's 10, 8, 7, 6. I don't know the exact ages. So what kind of sports are they participating in? And Jackson is the oldest, and he's playing travel basketball. And that led us to the story of baby brother Peter and Deuce. It's still literally one of my favorite. It's JG's favorite moment. It's the first time he met Deuce. It's a 4th grade travel game, and JG came to watch baby brother Peter play. Wanted to see how he was doing. Decided to show up for a game. I think you came to a game once as well.
I did.
And I think a couple of people did. Several people have come to watch baby brother Peter play basketball back in the day. And so we're at the gym, and we're sitting on the bleachers in the front row, and Deuce is next to me, and JG comes up, and I go, "Hey, JG, great to see you. Thanks for coming." I said, "JG, meet Deuce. Deuce, meet JG." And JG goes, "Deuce, how you doing?" And Deuce goes, "I was forced to be here."
I always
He didn't say,
that
"I'm doing fine, nice to meet you." He goes, "I was forced." He wanted JG to know that he wasn't there to watch his brother play basketball on his own volition. And then Deuce, where did he learn this? He looks at me because I told him before. I said he didn't want to come to the game, and we had to take him. I mean, we had to drag him to the game, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I told him, no. He goes, "The basketball's terrible," and I go, "No, it's getting better." And so, sure enough, like 5 minutes into the game, he looks at me, and JG said, "He goes, I thought you said they were getting better."
I always love that one.
He goes, it's still traveling, double dribble, air balls. I don't think they've gotten any better. And he was, I guess he was right. I'm finally getting a little bit. Oh, and then somebody else wanted to do is they did the old. I'm not going to go back. I get so many emails. I know I can highlight them, and have them stay at the top so I can find them easier. I hadn't planned to use it, but it just reminded me of where he basically was chiding me about the NFC Championship game appearances, right? I talked about this a little earlier. Somebody else weighed in, and I said, well, it's like I said, Then and it was something about the championships. And I said, well, I'll play the game if you want to. Now, I know they were a long time ago. It was back in the leather helmet days. But the Lions have won 4 world championships. Like I say, they were long. The one was in 1934. Then they won 3 in the 50s. Vikings have never won a world championship. And he comes back with, well, we've been to 4 big games. You have. We're happy for you. We'll pat you on the head. That's great. But it's not. There's no reason to compare the two franchises. They have different stories and different histories, and they're both really good right now. But they both are good football teams. And Green Bay's right in the running too. It's a really good year to be a NFC North fan right now. So let's just all be happy. I can't lose. If the Vikings or the Kitties end up getting eliminated, before the big game, I'll lose. But I've got 2 teams.
One of my 3 teams lost yesterday, so now we're down to 4 total losses between my 3 teams.
Yep. Speaking of that, someone else said that they said, we're missing the big story today, the squirt team tonight in Baldwin, right? Is that what you do? You play tonight, right? Your first game?
Season debut, yeah.
Season debut in Baldwin.
I'm going to have to get out of here immediately we got to try to get there on time.
What do you know about this Baldwin club? Do you know anything about them?
I am brand new to squirt hockey. I'm brand new to District 2, so I don't have any previous knowledge. I've never faced a Baldwin team in my life.
Let me ask you this.
I know they're...
Does the Baldwin and the Mounds View team, my guess is they don't like each other, right?
I do know Baldwin won their first game 8-0, so I'm expecting a tough test tonight.
All right. We'll hope for the best for your club.
But we'll be ready for
it. Here's a text that says, Common, all you're doing is asking for Viking fans to tap their brakes. From 9 to noon, people are cruising down the purple highway of positivity. You're just simply posting an honest speed limit for fans. Purple fans may not like it, but they have to respect it. I don't know why people are so hard on me. I guess they know because I was born in Detroit and I'm a pseudo Lions fan that they're just envious and jealous. And so any criticism I give the Vikings, it makes them more irritated. It would be like, I guess they would be more irritated if it was Sinekin, right? Because he's Packer guy, right? Yeah. They'd really be.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you just got to calm down, everybody. We're just talking about it. We see some. I've said before, they're in a good spot right now. They're playing the Bears. I would think they would beat the Bears. Their schedule really isn't too particularly difficult, is it? Who do they have left? Detroit's got Buffalo and San Francisco left on their schedule. I mean, they'll probably lose one, if not both of those games. The Vikings could still win the division. It's not crazy to think that way. What's the Vikings schedule like? Bears?
We got at Chicago, home to Arizona, home to Atlanta, home to Chicago, at Seattle, home to Green Bay, at Detroit.
The Seattle game could be dicey. Seattle is a pretty good ball. I mean, any of those games can be dicey.
Yeah, we just went through the soft part of the schedule. Yeah. I know people are not happy that they didn't dominate as much as they should have, but they went 3-0 against the soft part. They beat the bad teams they're supposed to beat.
Yes, and so they're in a fairly good spot right now, approaching the Bears game at Soldier. It's going to go down to the
Detroit is at Indianapolis, home to Chicago, home to Green Bay, home to Buffalo, at Chicago, at San Francisco, home to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's there's no easy pickings there either, especially San Francisco and Buffalo. And having Buffalo at home, it doesn't matter. Home or away. Detroit had Buffalo at home last year and lost to them on Thanksgiving Day. So just because you got them at home, it's nice. Hometown crowd, don't have to travel. The old cliche of sleeping in your own bed, but I wouldn't put much into that. Let's pause and come back. One more segment to go. It was a travesty on Friday night. I'll explain. Common Man program, not the comedy show. A travesty on Friday night. I'll explain other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common, and this is Lions Lair. No, they actually they're in a den. This is the Lions Den. We're taking your calls. 8 consecutive wins, the most for the franchise since 1934, which was its first season in Detroit. They've now had 2 starts of 9-1 or better in franchise history. This year in 1934, when they won 10 straight to open the season. 46 points, the margin of victory, most in Lions history. 645 total yards, breaking the franchise record of 623 set against the Cowboys in 2013. 9, where those yards rank in NFL history, tied with 645-yard game by the Steelers in 2002. 9th most yards ever in a football game. 38 first downs. 38. Most in franchise history, and 2 shy of the NFL record set by the Saints in 2013. 158.3 passer rating for Goff, his second career game with a perfect rating, second as a Lion. No punts for the 5th punt-free game by the Lions since 1946, and second this season. And the numbers just go on and on and on. But the beauty of the NFL is going to be week 1 of the playoffs or week 2, if they get a first round bye, it can all go. One game.
Zilch.
Means zilch. Bad game like Goff had 2 weeks ago, and the season's over. Same with the Vikings. They could go in a losing streak back into the playoffs and go on a nice run and get to the big game. It's the beauty of the National.
I'm actually surprised that Doug Peterson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, that he has not been fired yet today, because there were reports before the game was even played yesterday that basically said the owner's looking to make a change. So when that comes out before the game, you think, all right, he's got no chance. And then they just got absolutely steamrolled. And I am shocked. It's 2:36 and Doug Peterson still has a job.
Do you think they're just waiting to the end of the season?
Oh, maybe at this point, yeah. You're not going to fire after that game. Might as well wait till the end.
Here's another guy. I think they're just trying to get me going, but I got a response to every one. If he threw 5 interceptions the previous week, just think how bad he's going to look against B-Flow's D. He carved up B-Flow's.
He already played B-Flow's D.
And he carved him up. He was the one.
He was elite.
He was elite in the second quarter, and it was Ben Johnson and the Lions and Jared Goff who put together the recipe for beating the B-Flow's defense. Just admit it. Why is everybody so down on the kiddies? I thought we all liked them. I mean, I know you like the Vikings more, but I think it's...
You know what it is with Vikings fans?
Envy and jealousy? Is that what it is?
No. For Vikings fans, their bitter rival is the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
And let's be honest, over the last 30 years, we've had our moments, but we've always kind of been second fiddle a little bit in the NFC North to Green Bay. But the one thing we could always do that would make ourselves feel better was make fun of the Detroit Lions.
Right.
At least we're not them. They're the team in the basement. Right. And now all of a sudden, they're on a better trajectory than your Minnesota Vikings.
Have ever been.
Yeah.
Except in 98.
And so now we don't have that thing to make fun of that makes us feel better and placates us.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see. Friday night, they're not calling him Iron Mike Tyson anymore. They're calling him Iron Deficiency Mike Tyson. Iron Deficiency Mike Tyson. Squared off against Jake Paul, and it was a made-for Netflix event, though. Did you see all the problems that Netflix was having with their signal?
I didn't watch a second of it, but I did see lots happening on social media making fun of the Netflix signal. Yeah,
well, there was all that buffering. As a matter of fact, so much that Michael Buffering was the one that was doing the ring announcing. I know that joke was done 1,400 times that night, or some derivative thereof. Sauce and I were up at Rockwood's Comedy Club in Otsego. And you know what's interesting is, so, you know, I'm a boomer, so technologically I'm inept. There's a TV there, and Sauce goes, well, if we can get the TV on, if we can find the clicker, to turn it on, I can get the fight. I go, how do you know they have Netflix? He goes, it doesn't matter. I've got it on my phone. And I'm like, huh? So Meat Sauce got the fight up, and we saw the same thing. They would all of a sudden, there would be a blurry, video that would start and stop, buffering, as they call it, starting and stopping, starting and stopping, starting and stopping. So, and Sauce first found out about it because he went online on Twitter just to see what people were saying about the fight, because at first we didn't know we'd be able to get the fight. And then, by the way, I didn't watch it there. I just wanted to go home at the end of the night. So I didn't see the fight. I just heard about the result. And everybody was complaining about it. Everybody. And I'll get to the moral of the story in a second, but fight goes on, scheduled for 8 rounds between former world champion, 58-year-old Iron Mike Tyson, and I'm still not sure what Jake Paul has done in his life to create this kind of fascination about him. Was he an
influencer? YouTube
influencer. What was it what did he do on YouTube that got millions of people to follow him? He wasn't a fighter right away, right? What did he, or is that what he did right away?
No, I don't think he was a fighter right away.
Do we know what he did? Because he obviously has hundreds of thousands, I guess millions of followers, and it all started, he was some type of a YouTube sensation. Then he decided did he dabble in Ultimate Fighting first? I haven't followed his career probably as closely as I would have liked to. But he decided to go the pro fight circus, and he's very carefully selected all of his opponents, and most of them they've just been circus sideshows.
So Jake Paul began his career in September 2013 posting videos on Vine. By the time Vine was discontinued by Twitter, Paul had amassed 5.3 million followers and 2 billion views on the app. He launched his YouTube channel on May 15th, 2014. His channel became known for pranks, controversies, and his hip-hop music.
Okay. And then, so people became fascinated with that. Then does it say, did he go to UFC first or did he go right to boxing? And I don't know why he chose it. I guess it's really not important at this point. But he's had a number of fights that have gained a lot of interest. And boxing purists, I think, have been very dismissive of him. Because especially if you're an old school boxing guy, you're thinking, no, you learn the fight game. You go to dingy gyms. And you work on your craft there. You hit the heavy bag, the speed bag. You learn it. And then you fight amateur. You start out as an amateur and you try to climb the amateur ranks. Then you turn pro and you fight on undercards. You build yourself up. You fight guys. First couple of fights, you're fighting guys that probably are their opponents. And then after that, you start fighting people that are the competition gets stiffer as you go, right? And it finally, I don't know why I guess he picked Tyson for notoriety. And it was a money grab, let's face it. I think Tyson, did he make $20 million? Was that the number I heard? And I think Jake Paul maybe made upwards of $40 million for a fight that was nothing more than a glorified sparring session
exhibition,
a sparring session going in, and it ended up, just like you say, being an exhibition for the entire 8 rounds. Apparently Tyson threw a couple of punches in the first round, and then I don't think he threw more than a punch around. There are those that think the fix was in, that Tyson landed, and I saw a clip of it it was on a Associated Press or ESPN story. So there was a clip where Tyson did land a pretty good punch early in the fight and didn't follow up. I just don't think Mike can follow up anymore. It's we've talked about it where, your reflexes sort of go in all sports. A goaltender in hockey, after why you play so long and eventually Father Time catches up with you and you're not as quick, like George Bush, not as quick on his feet anymore, right? And you don't, and same with the prize fight. You see the punches coming, you just can't stop them. Or you throw punches, but you can't capitalize them on him anymore. He's 58 years old, for crying out loud. So, and how the fight even got sanctioned, I don't know, because generally speaking, in every state, I think most states have a boxing commission, and how serious they are from state to state, I've got no idea. But they sanctioned this fight between, 27, 28, 29 years old. Big, strong kid, right? Has some boxing skills, fighting a 58-year-old man who hasn't fought in, is it 20 years, 25 years was the last time he's in a ring? They're fighting with, and I think they can see that this is not going to go well, so they changed the rules. Boxing's supposed to be real legitimate pro fights, 8-ounce gloves, 3-minute rounds. You fight 4, 6, 8, 10 rounds, or 12 if it's a championship fight. So they go, well, we'll fight 8 rounds, and we'll have them just 2 minutes. Owen will use, I thought it was a 14-ounce. I think they were either 12 or 14-ounce gloves. Okay? And it was just lopsided, no action. Afterwards, Jake Paul even said he eased off Mike Tyson. Here's what he said. Jake Paul suggested Friday, following his unanimous decision victory over heavyweight Mike Tyson, that he eased up rather than attempting to knock Tyson out. Paul replied, definitely, when asked by a reporter if he took his foot off the gas, before adding, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt. And, I actually admire him for that. When I watch a prize fight, sometimes I wonder to myself, why am I entertained by this? Two guys trying to, they're absorbing physical damage. One guy, you're trying to knock the other guy out, right? But when it's an evenly matched fight, two world-class fighters at the top of their game in the same weight class, and they're both on their game, it's like a symphony. It could be that good. And then there is always the danger. It's with boxing, for me, it's that football game's going 60 minutes, hockey game's going 60 minutes, baseball's going 9 innings. It's the one sport where it can go the entire, if it's a 12-round championship fight, it can go the entire 12 rounds, 36 minutes with a minute in between each round, so 45 minutes, or can end in the first round. Minute into the first round, second, third. So there's always that element of this, don't get up to go get a Coke, because the fight could end at any time. And we've seen fighters who are behind on all scorecards come back and knock the other fighter out late in the round. And one of the most incredible ones was, this is from back in 81, where Mike Weaver knocked out Big John Tate, 15th round, Knoxville, Tennessee. That's when they still had 15-round heavyweight fights. Hit him with an uppercut with a minute to go in the round. Tate fell down like a tree. And the ref could have counted to 1,000, and Tate wasn't getting back up. It was just an extraordinarily dramatic ending to a fight. It was exciting, right? And I think Tate was no worse for the wear. I can't be positive about that. So I admire Paul for saying, God, I don't want to. It was like when Ali and Holmes was fighting. Ali was trying to win the title for the 4th time. He's late 30s. He's got nothing left. Ali was Holmes' idol, so Larry felt, I got to give him a chance to win the title back. He doesn't want to fight him. He's in there dominating the fight. He's hitting Ali, and he's looking at the ref. Ali's in the corner, kind of covering up. And he's asking the referee, would you please stop the fight? I don't want to hit him anymore. And finally, the ref did call the fight. But it's like, Paul, you should have taken the fight in the first place then. Because you knew. Come on, you knew. I think most people did. I mean, there were those of us, including myself, that, wow, maybe if Iron Mike lands a wild, right hand, a haymaker, you always got, they call it a puncher's chance, Tennessee. hit him with a hard punch. Has Paul really been ever hit really hard by a hard puncher? So I'm sure Tyson still has some power. Didn't turn out that way. I don't know why I really don't know why they sanctioned the fight at all.
Can I bring up a conspiracy?
Sure, go ahead. I'm all for conspiracy theories.
You see lots of conspiracy theories on TikTok, so that's where I gathered this one from. Okay. So I did not see the fight. But is there ever a point in a boxing match where a boxer would be biting on his glove while you're in the ring fighting? And what would be the purpose of that?
Was somebody biting on their...
So the video, they were showing videos on the TikTok of Tyson. He'd start chewing on his glove, and they were saying that's signifying Jake to punch him. And every time after Tyson would chew on his glove, Jake Paul would throw a punch. And I was just thinking, like, well, why would a boxer ever have your own glove in your mouth, right? Like, it just makes it harder to block a punch in time. So that was the rabbit hole that I had seen on TikTok.
I suppose.
Like, you're talking about Jake Paul letting up on Tyson. It's possible Tyson let up on Jake Paul. Maybe he threw the match.
I don't know why Tyson would throw. I mean, let's say that's true.
That might have been the agreement ahead of time.
Yeah, I suppose it's possible.
Get you a fight, here's $20 million, but Jake Paul wants to keep his undefeated record, so he can keep fighting down the road.
I see. Yeah, I guess it's possible. I don't know if we'll ever know unless Tyson fesses up to it or somebody does, and I don't think anybody's going to.
That is one of my issues with boxing is either boxer or judges can fix that thing.
Yeah.
And you never know what's legit. You never know when you're being scammed.
Well, if you watch like a fight like Usyk versus Tyson Fury, the heavyweight championship unification about 5-6 weeks ago, the way those guys were fighting, there's no fix there. I mean, they were going toe to toe. That was a real fight. And the refs, the referee is Mark Nelson, who is local here, and I've known him for 25 years, and he's as honest and as a hot southern summer's day is long. Judges could be paid off, I guess. It's happened before. I think it's harder to do nowadays, but it could. And you'll see some crazy scorecards sometimes where you go, it's one of my favorite lines in prize fighting is when you go, it looks like he had to have his seeing eye dog decipher his scorecard. He had to be blind to call the fight for that person. But what that fight does though is it makes it really, to me, it gives boxing, pardon the pun, but a black eye. Because I was talking to one of the guys at the golf shop yesterday on Saturday, and he'd watched the fight. He goes, "Yeah, me and my buddies were there. We were all at the place. We had it up." He goes, "We all had bets going on the game. We had a betting board out." And he goes, "My son was doing the same with his buddies." And my son called me there and said, "Dad, what was that all about? How bad was that?" And I asked my golfing buddy, I said, "Did you watch Tyson Fury against Usyk?" He goes, "No." I go, "Well, that's the problem. You watched a circus of, and you didn't watch a real prize fight. You were drawn in by the popularity of YouTube influencer Jake Paul and fighting Iron Mike Tyson, sign of, hey, this is unique. Doesn't happen every day, right? Instead of watching, if you had watched Usyk versus Tyson Fury, a terrific heavyweight fight against the two best heavyweights in the world. If you like prize fighting, some people don't even like it. But that was a real fight. You watch that will change it. And I asked him, "Did you watch it?" He goes, "No, I didn't even know about it." Well, yeah, because boxing doesn't have the popularity it once did. And certainly, if you're not a fight fan, you've probably heard of the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, but you're not going to make a real effort to watch him fight, especially when you got to pay $79.99 to see the fight, right? If it's a pay-per-view fight, you're just thinking, that's really not even worth my time. I don't want to spend the money. I don't like boxing that much. But it was freebie on Netflix, right? If you subscribe to Netflix, it was a freebie.
60 million people watched.
Yeah, how many?
60 million.
60 million people watched that fight.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. A lot of people.
A lot of people.
A lot of people were watching that fight.
Only a Trump rally could draw more people than that.
So, Yeah, I saw.
I had people ask me if I watched it. I'm like, I knew it was going to be a clown show. That's why everyone on Twitter that were disappointed in the match. What were you expecting?
Yeah, I don't know.
You had to have known it was a money grab and a clown show going into it.
Well, I think,
I refused to support that.
Well, I think what they were suspecting was what I thought could happen if the fight. Let's say the fight was on the. I'm still going to try to believe it was on the up and up. Maybe TikTok's right. Maybe there's conspiracy. Let's say it was. You're thinking just the puncher's chance that if Tyson still has the power that he has, if he catches Paul with a good right hand, he could hurt him and then maybe knock him out. So that's what I think people were hoping to see. But it is what it is. Just wait till the real price. Now, like for instance, no one's going to watch this. Benavidez versus Morrell. Morrell's the guy that came from Cuba and was based here in the Twin Cities for a while. And he was fighting all those shows at the Armory and built up a home fan base here. He's fighting Benavidez, super middleweight championship. Going to be a terrific fight, or has the makings of a terrific fight. But the average sports fan won't watch that.
It'll draw 1% of the people that watch the other one.
That's exactly right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. Talk to you tomorrow at 1. It's the PJ Flex Show at noon. Big Ticket JG. They're next, right here on the Fan.
Good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Minnesota!
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.